My name is Dr. Liora Hendelman Bavur. I'm the director of the Alliance Center for Iranian Studies at Tel Aviv University. And we were supposed we were getting ready for the past, I think, 8 or 9 months to hold the exhibition of the photographs of Hasan from 2006, 2007. With a zoom into the Jewish community in Iran. We already have the photos, and it was a long way to print them and to save them. And under the shadow of Corona, everything is on hold. And we will hold this exhibition, but again, once the sky reopen and we will be able to have audience that will come and see the pictures. And of course, Hasan will also join us in the event. So in the meantime, it was really important for me to just give some kind of a stage to this collection, to his career, to his efforts, to his story, to his work, because I think that he's a very fascinating person with a fascinating story. Especially here in Israel, we don't get a lot of opportunities to know people or encounter and meet people like Hasan. He was born in Tabriz, Azerbaijan, right? The Azerbaijan province, but it's Iran's Azerbaijan, not the country Azerbaijan.
Yes.
He began his career in the media in 1999 in Subh Hemruz, right, the journal. And since then, he worked with many, if not most, of the reformist journals in Iran. Unfortunately, most of them are closed by now. He also worked with Zanan and Iran Efada, and his photographs were also published in international journals and news agencies like the Newsweek, The Economist, Time, Washington Post, and as I said 4 days ago, also in Times of Israel. So we can say that his photos are still very relevant to everything that is going on in Iran today, and we hear a lot about Iran in the headlines all the time. I will also say something about this particular exhibition. I think we can say that it provides a very unique snapshot into, I would say, the Jewish community in 21st century Iran. It fluctuates between private and public rituals and ceremonies that remain hidden from most Western and of course, Israeli viewers. And I believe that it was based on 2 years journey, that he will be able to share more details about that with us in major cities in Iran, where the Jewish community used to reside, and part of it still residing, like Tehran, like Isfahan, Shiraz, Yazd, Kerman, Damavand, Hamadan, and I can go on and on. I can say that through his lens, although I'm not a specialist, I'm an historian. Yes, I'm not an artist or a photographer, but still, when I look at his photographs, I can say that he captures the daily life in the background or on the background of tremendous socio-political tensions that characterize the complexity of the lives of the remaining Jewish community in Iran as a captured minority. And in the broadest sense, I would say that at least my impression is that this exhibition also projects on a centuries-long quest of the Jews to preserve their heritage.
Like that he is truly documentarist, and he, like, even that he has also like conceptual approach, and he's trying the different media. I think his base is what I would say really kind of like humanitarian photography. Like there is like mostly humanity, which is present in all of his work, and has a kind of like really human approach. It is not ideological. It is not kind of like not at all like fanatical or bringing some idea, but he's just like bringing kind of like a role of the human in the society in certain circumstances. So this, I think, like it is very valuable in his
Yeah,
work.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, because I'm usually very, very critical.
I remember when I was like 20 and I discovered photography. I was fascinated with the work of Master Joseph Kodelka. He's the really great documentaries, and I couldn't believe, that I would met him when his 80th birthday anniversary was like last year here. Anyway, yeah, it was by a chance actually. My wife got a job here for the RFERL, Radio Liberty, and then we moved here in 2015. I started to do some documentaries first to discover the society, and later on I decided to just continue my academic studies. But discovering FOMO was a really great opportunity to meet great peoples there, and it was really opened new horizons for me, because this connection with the academic, the atmosphere was almost quarter of century. I got my bachelor 25 years ago. So it was so difficult for me for the first semester to handle it. Stepanka knows about that, how I forgot something, because maybe my age, and I did sometimes I messed up
Can you tell us
things,
a little bit more about where it was taken?
Definitely. This is very nice atmosphere, which it was amazing for me as a, the person who was born supposed to be a Muslim, and then trying to travel with the minorities, the Jewish minority, around the country. When we arrived to Hamadan, was actually this just going to Hamadan to visit Stera Mordechai Shrine. So we were stopped in a place to just, that they had to pray in no places, but actually there is no place for the, the minorities in such as this, situation. What I understand, they rented this place, they got from the Muslim, the mosque for the half a day, and they choose this place to just, they have a breakfast. I have pictures which the, the group of the Jewish people, they are sitting and eating breakfast, and then they pray. This is the picture which in a background, which it's presented, and the two Jewish people, they are two Jewish men, they're trying to get ready for praying. The background picture is the first Imam of the Shia Muslims, which is very holy for Iranians. For me, so seeing this, the contrast in a society which one minority, the peoples, they are trying to do their own, the ritual ceremonies in a majority of places, which is always, that's reminding me of, the someone watching you always. Mm-hmm. For me, it's reminding me, that's representative of the majority of the society. When the minority, Jewish people, they are living in a society, someone's always, they are on the shadow of the something, which you see in the other picture also, which is, always the pictures of the supreme leader, and also late supreme leader, founder of the revolution. It's always hanging on the classes in schools or university. And that reminds me, the always something watching you. And it doesn't matter if you are Muslim, Jewish, or whatever, but for Jewish people, I think it will be something different, which I think they have to just, to say what is this. One of the, I think, the things, it's very important for me, and also for the Jewish people, but just collaborating in this project was my access to the international media, to AP, to the wire of the Associated Press that time. I worked as a photographer for AP for 10 years, from 1999 to 2009. And always when I photographed them and their relatives, their families, like, you know, the sons or daughters or whatever parents, they saw their pictures in the international like community. They trust me. So from the other side, my wife's like, you know, the just background with her grandmother was Jew and then converted. So that was like a little bit very connection emotionally. They trusted us, so we traveled together. The result of the pictures, which I can say now after 12 years, I think it's, for me, it was a great opportunity to be with them. But definitely, if they didn't trust us, I couldn't able to do that.
To me, looking at the photos in the exhibition, in the show, if I had to choose one which conveyed or epitomized the theme of Persian Jews, it would be this one of the two men laying tefillin, and Imam Ali is on the background watching them, like observing the event. I think that the photos in the exhibition, other than just representing the different tensions or the conflicts that Liora mentioned in the lives of the Jews of Iran, they also tell a visual story of identity. These people, the Jews of Iran, identify themselves as Jews, but in equal manners as Persians. So I think these photos, to me, capture this unique identity, making it more tangible in a way. I think, and you perhaps you can correct me if I'm wrong, the essence of documentary photography or photojournalism is letting real life unfold. So I think this image, in addition to another image, the one also taken in Hamadan, where the two men are praying and are fully covered with talitot, a prayer shawl. On the wall next to them, there is a plate with the name of Allah written on it. So to me, these two images like convey or summarize the notion of the Persian Jewish identity. And to me, it's very unique and special in this photo exhibition.
We see many photographs of Iranian, reporters that come to Iran and give reports or articles about the lives of Jews, and we have always see photograph from synagogues, but not the everyday, the hard work of a teacher trying to educate young Jews about their religion, about the religious life. So this is a very touching moment. This teacher standing in the class and writing.
This was supposed to be originally, it was the school for Jews, but after some revolution, some I don't know about the exact facts, but maybe population or whatever, they only studied Hebrew in the schools during the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, like
I remember,
yeah.
But they started, if they are Jew, they can go to the the joint schools, like normal school, like public school, but they can study only Hebrew during the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you document things as they happen naturally, or in a sense, what details do you believe make a best photograph? Do you pay attention to trying to stage it or being neutral?
But let me just tell you a brief story about this project. I remember when after 2005, President Ahmadinejad in a conference, he denied the Holocaust. It was a big news for all the news agencies. So in the same time, restriction about my work, and I couldn't access most of the events as a news photographer. So I decided to just follow the his topic about talking about the Holocaust. And then I choose the Jewish people because of that's always everything is connected with Israel and the Jews in Iran, and it's very critics surrounding, that everything is like, just even if you can talk about like very old enemy like US in Iran, you cannot talk about Israel. It's a completely forbidden area. And I decided to just go close to this society to discover. And as I told before, I worked with my wife to just trying to go a little bit under the skin of the society and to discover their, like, the private lives. It was very hard, but first of all, I had to just get a letter, permission from Iranian Cultural Ministry. Then they introduced me to the Jewish Association. After that process, they confirmed I can go to photograph any, like, the events, but it was not easy all the time because sometimes they just send a letter to, for example, another city association of the, like, let's say Jewish people in Yazd, but I don't know, some people, they were not easy, or they were not, satisfied for the photography. So it was not easy to go to this process always. But during the 2 years, like, the investigation and working, traveling around the country, I learned, the very similarity, like, just from the working from as a press photographer and as a, like, the documentary photographer in that society. It was very similarity, like, that you are under pressure always from the authority, and it's not easy to just avoid, and it affects your, like, your job, and it affects your, like, what's coming out from your camera. Maybe I can end with this. I remember once one guy who was, I don't remember the name of him, but he was an official from the Cultural Ministry. He said, "Why you are working on this Jewish community?" Because I had so many, like, the requests to photograph them. And I said, "What should I do?" And he said, "Why you don't work, on like Shia Muslims, the culture?" I said, "There's no reason to work on that, because every media, all the aspects are in your hand, and this is just the voice of the, just one minority." And he didn't accept that. It was the person who has to be, like, write and sign my, like, the request to get the permission. It was not easy to get this, like, the project done as a non-Jewish, like, the photographer, I can say. But sorry, I didn't respond to one part of that. Okay. I never staged anything. I remember I never staged any photograph. I just, because of my background in the press photography and my intention in just documenting whatever, in front of my eye, I just lived with them. And I photographed whatever, that was happened in front of me. Ask them anything, just stage them. I did stage in 2019 in Israel, actually. Shtapanka knows about that project. But with this project, which it was happened in Iran, I never did that.
Okay. I do understand the importance of authenticity in the photographer work, but how do you avoid taking a stand, being unbiased in your work or neutral? Is it something that affects you in your work?
But yeah, of course, it was because of this work. You mean my whole photography work?
Yes, yeah, in general or in particular with this project of the Jews of Iran.
Yeah, this project resulted with ending my career in AP and just banning me with continuing my work as a press photographer. They banned me, they revoked my press pass, so I couldn't able to take any pictures. They banned me on, I think, around May 2009. And after that, June 2009, controversial elections happened. I never get back my press pass, and then I left country. It was very how can I say, for the government. If you work with the Jewish related, the subjects, you are always connected to the Israel, and it's not easy. They accused me for espionage, and I was just shocked. I said, how it's what do you get from these pictures as the person who's photographing social lives of the minority? But as I said before, anything related with the Jewish people in Iran easily connected to the Israel by the vision of the authority. So you cannot avoid to connecting between these two. This was the project which we did to just publish as a book in Iran. And because if you want to just publish any book in Iran, you have to get a permission from ministry. So we delivered this book. It is still in a system of National Library in Iran as printed, published book, but it never happened. Registered our names and in system. Even I think, if you Google it, you will see that. But they didn't never give permission because they said this is propaganda against the Islamic State.
I think this is a wonderful cue to perhaps the second set. And I have to say that one of the photographs that intrigued me most in this entire collection, and it's also different because it's not one taken in 2006, 2007, but the one on the right taken in 2000 in Shiraz. And before you tell us the story of this picture, I would just say that I believe that because I've asked you about it, I noted that the context is the fact that in March 1999, 13 Jews were arrested in Shiraz and also in Isfahan and purportedly accused of espionage for Israel. In July 2000, the Revolutionary Court of Shiraz convicted 10 of the accused on charges of cooperating with the hostile government, with membership in an illegal organization, and sentenced them to 4 to 13 years. And among the 13, only 3 were acquitted. Now, I have to say that among these group of people, there were rabbis, teachers, Hebrew teachers, and even a 16-year-old boy. That means that they were people, everyday people that probably did not know even how to handle this entire situation. And I know that this woman who is standing in front of this entire paparazzi, such a group of photographers, is trying to say something or explain something. And she's actually a family member of one of these people who were accused back then. So can you shed just a little bit more light on this picture?
Exactly. But exactly what you said, that's right. And but when I started my work with AP, I traveled a lot. Some events I photographed Jewish peoples, and one of the particular events was in Shiraz in 2000 and 1999. I remember it was one of the relatives of the 13 Jewish peoples, and they we traveled, I think, several times to Shiraz to attend in the court and the revolutionary courts, and then they just try to say, they are innocent. I mean, the families, they believed, they are a victim. And I think it was because after that, all of those 13 people, they were, of course, some of them spent some years in a prison, but none of them, they were not executed, killed, but they were released from the jail. It was just political game, I can say. It's just, I don't want to go to that field, but anything just related with the other picture, which is in any demonstrations in Iran, you will see, such as these pictures, always carrying by the people and down with USA or Israel. It's very common things in any public demonstrations.
Well, I'm interested in Hasan's work in general as a photographer. I understand, I read about you that you documented wars, battles, and other tragedies or a disaster. So in these cases, the camera doesn't protect you from the pain and the shock that's in front of you. So I think it's a bit personal question, but how does it affect you? Do you have the dilemma of putting down the camera and rushing to help the people in front of you? Or you just do your work and stand aside and point and shoot?
I think this is a very tricky question.
I'm sorry, this is a difficult question, I know.
Yeah, if you are in your 20s or 30s, it's something different. And when you're just getting older, it's something affects you emotionally. I remember I had emotion during my photography career, but I tried to do the right things. I always thought about the audiences and thought about the result. But I cannot say actually, I'm a human, sometimes I really cried behind the camera, but I took my pictures. But I couldn't, sometimes I couldn't handle the situations because especially in the wars, I covered 3 wars. So in front of the front line, it's not the easy to see bloody person just dying in front of you, or let's say earthquake happens, you have to just say the voiceless people's the voices. I tried to do my best, but I think the people, they have to judge. But pictures, I think they can show, it's let's others judge. I don't want to just say yes.
Yeah, a picture worth 1,000 words, as Professor Stefanka said about your human approach. So how do you pass or convey or give the message of this humanity in your photographs? Do you focus on any elements? I know you make use of light and shadow, compositions, colors. How do you tell us the story using your camera?
But when I was in Iran, it was completely different. When I left Iran, it was just the other side. When I was in Iran, I was just telling the stories from the inside to informing the people from the all around the world. But when everything changed for myself in 2009, it was just reversed. I tried to just inform Iranian people from outside of the world. It's completely a very contrast situation for myself. It was a good chance for me to live as a minority person in exile in past almost 11 years now, 10 years it's completely. And I understand how it is hard to be a minority, and then realize how those people, like Jewish people or whatever, those Syrian with others, how they are under pressure inside Iran. But I'm really glad now I have just little bit part of their life through my camera, and I can show the others. But what I do now from after 2009, I try to tell people the story. I'm focusing on personal people's, the lives, especially immigrant people, because I feel, that they pain. And especially who they cannot, they return to their homeland or whatever they birthplace. Let's say, you know, the not homeland, birthplace, and they left everything behind. I tried to a little bit, you know, just make and turn light on that, you know, the dark sides.
When Hasan came to school, like it was like 2 years ago, like he had he was like very skillful, but like he had these skills of the photojournalism, what means like to bring direct image, which is usually accompanied by some other information, that it is kind of like illustration for the article, or that it is speaking about some issue or problem, which you have some edited information. And now I think he is going more into, let's say, documentary, which is more deeper. And like, actually you are getting the story without a text. You don't need so many information about, but like it's just probably inspire you for go and search for the information that you just like really need them.
The last set of photos, I believe that this gives maybe a little bit of sense about what Professor Simlova said, because we are moving from the very contextualized, political, ideological, photojournalistic story to something that is different. And there is such a huge contrast between these two pictures, between the Sukkot, and I was trying to figure out, where did you stand in order to take this picture, because it looks like you stood on the roof, and I know that in the Sukkah you don't have a roof to stand on. And I can tell you about Sukkot in Israel. You don't put a watermelon in your Sukkah, because a watermelon is usually a summer fruit. You don't have it in October when you celebrate Sukkot, and you don't put pepper in the Sukkah also. So it's like an entire fruit and vegetables and cucumbers here. This is for an Israeli who will look at this picture, he will say, what is this?
Just let me tell you first, not only in October you have watermelon in Iran, even, you know, in December you have, because we have a Yalda, so longest night of the year, so we have a special for that night. So in this, especially for, I think, you know, the charity for the Jewish people, elder people who is just staying there, not only Jewish people, also Muslims, they can come get the service in that, you know, the charity. I was just curious. It was my first time I saw this like, you know, 2 meters high. And then I just got one ladder. I said, okay, can I just get to the, and I remember one guy, he just holding me, and then I was just up to take this picture. It was unique for me, for myself also, because I was not familiar with the subject that time.
Wait, can you just tell me if you see, is this Rabbi Milubavitch?
Yes, yeah. That's a former rabbi. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, this is strange to find pictures of the Rabbi Milubavitch in
exactly
in Iran. Okay, this is also new.
Right. Yeah.
So this is like a super colorful and celebration of life and Sukkot and with the fruits and everything, and then we go to the photo from Isfahan, from the cemetery, which is also like the desert, coming from this very, let's say, warm picture to the very secluded. The cemeteries are a huge part of the life of this community. Because in many respects it connects this community to the land. Because it's the only way where you can, go and pay your respect for your forefathers. Certain places and cities in Iran where you hardly have any Jewish community today in comparison to the past. So how was it to get into the intimacy? Because this is a very, very intimate moment in the cemetery when a person stands there and pray. how did you connect with these moments, or decide how to take the pictures?
Actually,
in
because
cemeteries?
of the the topics we were following during 2 years research, it was just some the cultural background, some the social events, even political, the events I photographed. This is one, especially because Isfahan, that has really powerful community of the Jewish. If you are documenting Jewish life in Iran, and if you just, they're recommended by one Jewish person, they will cooperate fully. Because they know whatever you are doing, it's very important for their community too. So gentleman is in this picture, and also his wife came with us for almost a full day. We traveled to this place, so we got a permission to go and photograph this cemetery. And that's a very beautiful cemetery. I remember I had so many pictures, so many topics we needed to just cover for that book. And I can say we tried to just presented this project, these photos for Iranian community to inform them from life of the one minority. I mean, that these pictures, these photos taken by that reason, we tried to just, get a permission to publish the book to show inside Iran. But it wasn't happened because of whatever, the Penn State University. They accepted this project and it will be published this year. I'm really glad to just, see the results. We waited so long, but the result is good.
So first of all, I would like to bring us into some kind of a conclusion in again, some sort of a few words about the transition that Hasan has made since these photographs were taken.
I think very soon, like Hasan was able to establish dialogue. He was bringing some different quality, not just by the age, because he was a little bit older than the average age of the student, but also, he had a completely different experiences. Not just working for magazines or for the journalism, but the circumstances, the society, the experience of immigration, which is very powerful and it may be very painful. In some age, even that you have some huge career behind you, and you probably may continue in the way how you are used to or what brought you success before, that you are able to kind of do some twist in your life. And you say I wanted to learn something more or something completely from the different point of view.
Orit, would you like to add something?
Well, I have a general question to both Stefanka and Hasan, if they wish to add, about photography. What makes a photo memorable or unforgettable to you?
Yes, that I relate to something what, for example, reminds me something or, stimulate me somehow differently. So it is rational, learn me something or bring me some information, and then kind of emotional part, which kind of I feel some attention.
Completely, that what Stefanka said, that's I completely agree, and I can say the photography for me, it's something magical is in this medium, which is still after 35 years. Each photos I take after just until I see the result, I cannot stop the excitement in my for myself. Honestly, in the past 2 years, I'm struggling with myself for why I'm taking pictures. It's very fundamental things. I'm glad, I'm learning still in this process. Sometimes I stop to taking pictures because I think that each picture has its own story for audiences, whatever it is, even like, you know, the objects or people. But for me personally, I cannot stop taking people's picture. People's, for me, it's everything. Whatever is my child or unknown person, it is something like, I believe I'm just telling their stories, maybe through my cameras, my lens, and but still I'm learning. You know, it's unfinished things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wish you a lot more years of success and
Thank you so
photographs, of course.
Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you both for joining us and for participating in this Zoom meeting. I don't consider it to be like the end, because we will still be in touch, and we will hold the exhibition once everything is clear. So again, stay safe. Thank you very, very much for your contribution. And I hope that we will meet again under better circumstances, at least.
Yeah, definitely, or face to face, or sometimes in Prague or whatever.
Of course, Prague is beautiful.
All right. Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
You too.